And we are live. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, hey, hello.
We got 18 people, so that's quite a good, I think, start. And we were sitting with Mike in same room, so we will be looking at each other and using his laptop as a microphone. So um, let's start with rough introduction about us before we go into the details. So I can start with myself. I'm Mike, the CTO and a founder of Callstack. I'm the guy on the right. Used to look a bit different back in the day. You can find me on Twitter, GitHub, and pretty much everywhere as Grabo. And I've been doing React Native for almost 9 years now. Uh, Historically, I helped with the auto linking. I created RNPM, and I spent a lot of my time making more than building actual apps on the CLI layer. So I'm super excited here to join Mike to talk about um, React Native Enterprise framework that uh, Mike and our team has been working on. So over to you, Mike.
Yeah, and I'm Michał Pierzchała. I'm a principal engineer at Callstack, and I'm responsible for this new framework that we're building, the React Native Enterprise framework, which is specifically designed for some bigger teams and larger apps that are there for many years or want to adopt React Native. Historically, I've been involved in testing and building tools for other developers. So I'm a former Jest core contributor. I've created React Native testing library and contributed to a bunch of other tools in the React Native ecosystem. Been there for I think 7-ish years already, and I think yesterday there was a 10-year anniversary for React Native. I guess React
Yeah.
Native. It's 10 years, and you can see that React Native is growing. It has grown, and the challenges we have and we are solving with this framework are different today because 10 years ago it was more or less good solution for some startups that wanted to experiment with new cross-platform technologies. Today, it's like a default state-of-the-art way of building mobile apps for many new enterprises and bigger companies that have adopted React Native for years. You can find me on X or Twitter and GitHub under Daimaki. And yeah, I'll pass over to you to tell us a bit about Callstack, which is
Yes. I'll be very brief so we can jump straight to the meat. So Callstack, the company that I founded and together with Mike, we've been working at Callstack. I've been working ever since, and he's been working almost the whole time, more than 7 years, I think.
fun fact is that I joined when Callstack was like 1.5 year,
No,
and I had an impression that it's this company that's there forever, and it was only a year.
Yeah. See, I'm having good to hear that. So, we do all sorts of React and React Native things. We are an enterprise, we are partner for many enterprise clients looking to adapt React Native at scale. So, what is specific and unique about us is that we usually work with React Native in unusual scenarios or at scale. So, we are dealing with some non-standard things or with customers that cannot use open source solutions. So, when React Native announced the frameworks and promoted Expo as the first framework, we immediately started thinking about what can we do to promote the CLI to offer the same experience to everybody who cannot use an existing open source solution for any reason, or maybe has a specific custom solution internally. So we do all sorts of enterprise things, and this is why we started working on enterprise framework for React Native. So I guess that's it, and I'll pass it over to you, Mike, so we can talk about it in more details.
Yeah, so let me introduce you to the most boring slides, which is agenda. But we want to set some expectations on what we will share today. So we will guide you through what is this framework, why we're building it, what's inside, which is the new CLI and the remote cache concept that it's exposing, how we approach Brownfield, or AKA adding React Native to native iOS, Android, etc. applications, how we approach out of tree platforms, which is all those non-iOS and non-Android platforms out there that target TV and VR and desktop and other platforms, some of which are not there yet, but there are some new things coming, and how it's all possible with our modular configuration. So let's start it. What is React Native Enterprise framework? So conceptually, it's a set of tools that allow bigger companies to have a great developer experience and make sure that they avoid the work that can be avoided on scale and at scale. So conceptually, it's a CLI. So we have a command line interface. It's one component that's heavily inspired by the React Native community CLI, and that's I mean, you can infer that from us being sole maintainers for the community CLI project for many years. We see our this new CLI as a spiritual successor to the community CLI that has better DX, etc. We'll get to that later. Now, there is another component, which is the concept of remote caching that's baked into the CLI, to our headless configuration, and this is the part where we expose our users to a ready, out of the box solutions that allow them to skip some of the work that doesn't have to be done in when they're building a native application. So currently, it has a form of a GitHub action that can store some native artifacts in the GitHub workflow artifact storage. And soon it's gonna be more and more capable to use anything else for your remote cache, so we can store your native builds anywhere and reuse them across CI jobs, in end-to-end testing and developer environments. And the last thing is something that we call headless configuration. It's a small configuration system that's plugin based, where you can replace some parts of the CLI itself, such as remote cache provider, or you can define which platforms you are supporting. You can add your own platforms, and you can define some custom plugins and a bundler that you're using. So the whole enterprise framework is designed for incremental adoption. That's why I wanted to stress so much on that it's multiple components. It's a CLI and it's a remote cache. So you can adopt it incrementally, which means you can first replace the community CLI with our CLI. And it's 5 to 10 minutes migration. We've tested that in some of our early adopters that had hundreds of screens. It wasn't that problematic. There are small changes to the community CLI interface that we've made, but it's more or less similar concepts, and you still have start commands, bundle commands, running commands, etc., which we will present in a moment. And once you have the community CLI, you will be apart from having better developer experience, better performance, you have access to adopt the remote cache. And this is where we see the biggest value that this framework is currently offering you. Because with remote cache, you'll be able to avoid a lot of builds that are happening currently on your CI that don't need to happen, because most of the changes, and in our internal surveys that we've made with our developers for our enterprise clients, it's 70 to even 90% of the work that's happening on CI could be avoided, because those 70 to 90% changes are JavaScript only. So they don't need, they don't require the whole app to be recompiled again, because it's going to produce the same native article. So why we're building it? As Mike mentioned, last year, React Native team announced this React Native frameworks RFC that we've also contributed to, similar to other companies out there and contributors. And to put it simply, we want to solve a common set of challenges that we see that large companies solve individually. So if you are a employee of such a company, you're probably solving some problems with the React Native Community CLI that other company and another one is solving as well. And you're doing more or less good job at doing that, basically reinventing the wheel. So we are seeing some patterns here, and as a company that consults software engineering for such companies, we want to do something about it, and we have open source in DNA. So why not build something that will be specifically designed for that? So that's the reason number one. And the reason number two is what we see is like underrepresented in the React Native community, which is making it easy to adopt React Native in existing iOS and Android apps. And once your organization adopted React Native, make it easy to spread out for other platforms. So let's go through those challenges one by one. And as I'm doing that, it would be amazing if you could post your own challenges in the chat, so we can discuss them later during.
Exactly. So this is a good moment to maybe start with the first question as we go. Is there on the chat? I don't know if like it is a very long one, but I think I'll try to display it anyway. Basically, the question is that, if we go with React, and this is what we discussed so far, like if you go with React Native CLI, it can be problematic to maintain over time or get all the features up and running. And on the other hand, Expo is a very nice package that works out of the box. But I wouldn't say depending on Expo is a problem, because you can use pieces of Expo, in Brownfield apps, in any kind of application. So that used to be a challenge, but it is not a challenge these days.
To some extent,
Exactly.
for Expo updates, it's problematic.
Yes. Okay. But generally speaking, it is either this, which is a great package that comes with all the things, or the CLI, which, like Mike says, it's kind of underrepresented. So since we've been working on the CLI for a while, our idea was that we would like to bring it up to speed, right? So, if there is any reason, for whatever reason, I think, we shouldn't be really getting into like the reasons behind using each of these. I'm sure everybody has their own ideas about it. We usually speak to people after they already made the choice. So assuming that you made the choice of using the CLI, or you're leaning towards using the community CLI, or in this case, probably our framework, which is probably no longer community CLI, more like Callstack's version of the CLI. You might be able to work with those things in a more out of the box way. So now we can go through the challenges. And like Mike said, if you have your own challenges, please post them in the channel. I'll be monitoring the chat, so we will be doing some pauses here and there. And then we can go to the live demo and you will show us the new experience, how beautiful the CI can be and how easy it can be.
Yeah. So let's go through the challenges that we've noticed. So we've seen that the companies that we work with all happen to struggle with high build times, with no reuse across the CI jobs and their dev teams. So you can imagine that whenever you're in a 10 or 50 people organization, contributing to the same app, same repository, and for every change, for every pull request, you'll need to build the app so it can pass through some testing or check if it's building and if the JavaScript bundle is also building. So what we notice is that is companies are going two ways. One, they accept that the whole checks on their pull request will take 20 to 40 minutes, or they skip the builds. They don't build the app on pull request. They just build the JavaScript. So they have like less confidence in that particular change cause some disruption to the process. And this is all because it's very hard to like caching is very hard. So the approaches that those companies are doing are like working in a, let's say, flaky way, like with end-to-end tests. Sometimes the cache will work, sometimes not. They require on build time optimizations. And what we notice is that in many cases, the best build time optimization is no build at all. So we've, as a part of our solution, we've introduced a system that allows us to detect whether the build is necessary or not. And if it's not necessary, we'll just present you with the build ready to reuse that you can reuse on other CI jobs and also on your own dev environment. So you can like download from your directory, from your remote cache. In this case, currently it's from GitHub Action. So from your repository CI provider. Another one is that it takes months to integrate a third-party cloud vendor. So in many cases, we wanted to add some third-party solutions for our clients, or those clients wanted to adopt that themselves for many years or for many months, and it turned out that it's so hard. Because they will need to go through legal, through a few layers of management, that the engineering teams that could use some third-party solutions like Expo EES, for example, just physically couldn't do it because it would take like 3 months or so to propagate the change. So what they did is that they stayed with status quo and accepted that they will just move slow and accept all the downsides that go with that. Another one is that those big applications have a mixed tech stack that makes adding React Native quite a challenge, and it's especially visible in those apps that we call Brownfield that want to adopt the React Native, or existing React Native apps that have so many changes that any upgrade to React Native takes days or weeks, or sometimes even months. If you can believe that, to upgrade React Native to the next version. But it's not only about the upgrading React Native, but also the whole ecosystem of packages. around it. And we also noticed that adopting React Native is it's like it's always been possible to ship some products. Like once you have React Native app, you can extend it with other platforms like tvOS or Android TV or Vision OS and some desktop platforms. But it's not easy, and it's all like you'll need to find many articles. There's no like ready to use documentation, and you're basically on your own. So you're, in the words of frameworks or RFC, you're building your own framework around that, and embedding React Native apps. This is something that's documented, but what we notice is that the official documentation is it's written. It's using a approach that we find most of the companies that we interact with just can't bear. So when for example, native iOS developers see that they will need to install some Node.js tooling, they will need to interact with NPM, and God forbid they also need to go back to CocoaPods. They're like, no, is there a better way? So it turns out there is. Currently, it's like actually a proprietary solution that that we are implementing for our clients, and we see this as an opportunity to make it available to everyone, and for it to be easy to adopt. It would be great if we had a like a unified tool where we could present and enable developers doing those applications, and with better experience, and that so it doesn't take weeks to adopt, but it's they will have ability to do it in the matter of hours or maybe a few days.
I think, Mike, I have some questions in the chat I wanted to ask you now, because I promised I'll pose you in the challenges section. So maybe we can start with the last question, which is whether this framework can be used with white label apps. And I guess by white label apps, that is a lot to unpack here, but I guess we can even broaden up this question and just mention generally any custom setup. Whether it's a white label app, a super app with mini apps, Brownfield app, or I don't know what kind of app, but like whatever comes to your mind.
Whatever app.
Exactly. So I think this is more of a fundamental reason behind this framework. So maybe you could just quickly recap of why this is the framework we're building. Yeah, because I think that is the reason why we're building it.
Yeah. So whatever is possible to build with the community CLI today, we will make it possible to build through our framework in a better developer experience. Is that all at once? We will roll out those experiences in time. We want to start with something, but the idea there is to serve those apps that have advanced use cases and apply some battle-tested solutions for them if we see any. So in terms of white label apps, the short answer is yes. The longer answer is currently we're not optimizing for this scenario. So for example, we won't provide you with some helpers or easy to use tools to deploy your many white label apps in a single command, for example. But this is something where we can go in the future. It's just that currently we're not focusing on that. But whatever you're able to, if you're having, if you're developing a white label app, and you want to move from community CLI to our CLI, so you can slowly adopt some parts of our experience to make your life easier, you can do that. And hopefully in the future, when we gather more users, more feedback, also from cases like this, we will be able to prioritize this experience and help you ship those applications to the app stores. It's just that currently we're not focusing on it.
Cool. So I think another question we have here is, and then you briefly touch based on it, and it's going to be an interesting one because it's maintaining, ES. It's about building, application in different builds, different platforms, and the ES pricing is high from that. And I think one of the key features of this framework is that you can self-host it on-prem. I mean, as far as I'm aware, you can do this with ES as well.
Yeah.
It's just that for some reason, it is either not that popular knowledge or like, I don't know where this comes from. Is this because it might not be as easy to run? I doubt that. So that is one question that I'm curious about. You help understand. And the second one would be, I mean, obviously we are self-hosted, so the problem goes away, but still, maybe a bit on the infra and
Yes. So with EAS, there is an option to self-host, so you can run EAS build local, which you can run on, I think, any kind of infrastructure that you have. What's worth to mention is that this is not a primary solution or primary experience that Expo is targeting. So Expo excels at their developer experience, which is built around Expo CLI, Expo Go, their pre-builds, and the EAS service. So they make it very easy to use. And if you can use third-party clouds and the pricing is acceptable, then it's a really cool solution. However, as Robin mentioned, the pricing for that many concurrent builds is quite steep. I believe it can get so for EAS or for any other CI solution. So what we offer is that we give you the full control over build process. So we're not making assumptions here. We're giving you the build commands that you can run anywhere, and they're optimized to run on any kind of CI and for Android, on Linux containers, for iOS, for macOS containers.
I think that's actually one of the questions we had here as well. So I'll just show it as well. We were just talking about the default cache provider is GitHub, available out of the box, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen the demos, and we'll see the cool demos today, I guess. How hard is it to implement a custom cache provider, and if it's even possible?
Yeah. So I'll start with the second. It's possible to build a custom cache provider. We're currently we've started with GitHub Actions because this is what we figured is mostly used for our customers, and what we've built now is like two things. We've built reusable GitHub Actions that allow us to build, retrieve cache, store it somewhere, etc. And we've built a remote caching solution, which is the remote cache provider. And soon we want to add some more providers, such as Amazon S3, so you could host your native builds on your AWS cloud, or for anywhere else, or you could implement one yourself. So implementing that, I will get to that actually later in the presentation. Is about implementing a class that has a certain interface, and putting it in a configuration. So that's the idea. This is something that we will need to iterate on. So it's optimal not only for some CI artifact storage, but also for some buckets. So for the storage providers such as S3 or R2. So conceptually, it's designed to work like that. Practically, we'll likely iterate on the specific interface. But the idea is that you'll be able to bring your own helpers, bring your own function that will take care of finding other artifacts, downloading them, uploading.
It's like with Astro, if you work with it, it's like you have different adapters. One of the goals for me is, I'm talking with different cloud providers right now to see what can we offer to you as a part of open source package in terms of, this is the goodies you get out of the box. And I hope that, Amazon AWS might be one of these, for example. And we'll see how that goes. But definitely having, I'm not going to show this on screen, but like we have on the chat list message, using AWS infrastructure for builds, totally not a problem. From our perspective, our clients often use that or Azure or custom builds, custom systems. So this has to be flexible. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to implement it in the meantime.
Yeah, that's the goal. Like it's an enterprise framework. We know that enterprises are using
Anything.
pretty much anything.
I love it. To me, working with enterprise is like I get into the code base and there's like real discovery like what's inside.
It's a wild west.
Cool. So there is one more question, but we'll not really go. Maybe we'll go to the demo because the question is, why do I need this remote cache? And this is exactly what will be very obvious when you show the video. So let's pause it on the questions now and move forward. So now you can show some other stuff.
I'll get to the CLI part. So as I mentioned, CLI is like 10-minute migration from the community CLI. And this can be your first step adopting our new framework. It's built around better developer experience and better performance by not doing as much as the community CLI do. And it's compatible with our remote caching solution, which I mentioned already. So the CLI look like the public interface or the commands look like this. So you can already see that this is pretty similar to the community CLI. There are some slight changes in the names of commands. Some flags are either renamed or removed. They were unnecessary or optimized. And we can see we have 3 main commands for each platform. So for iOS, we have build command, which is for building your apps for simulator or for devices with signing. It's all taken care of. So you won't need to call out Xcode build yourself, which is happening with basically every of our client with the community CLI, because that's not expected that much to run properly. We have a command for running your iOS app on a device or simulator, which is run iOS, and we have a command for signing your iOS app with a new version of some contents inside. Like you can it's called sign, but we're using it for re-signing the iOS app when we have a new version of JavaScript bundle and we want to reuse our existing IPA, for example, which is there as a command argument. For Android, we have the same 3 commands plus 1 extra. So we build Android, which will produce APK or AAB for Google Play Store. We have command for running, run Android. Same, starts a connection for Android emulator or device, handles installing, etc. We have a command for signing. Again, you can re-sign your APK with, for example, new version of your JavaScript bundle. And we also have a small helper for creating key store. So you can generate a release key store, for example, if you would like to do that. And these are start and bundle commands that are essentially the same as with the community CLI. We are the community CLI is using bundle and start commands from the core of React Native, and we're doing the same. So those commands are starting Metro or repack server. So this will depend on your configuration, whether you're using Metro as a bundler or repack as a bundler. And bundle command, it will produce a single JavaScript entry file with Metro or repack. One bonus is that we added a Hermes flag that will also pass your JS bundle through the Hermes compiler. So you also don't have to do it yourself if you've done it. So the UI is fully refreshed for the new CLI. For example, here you can see we have a run iOS, which is telling us that it found a local cached build. So this means that we our CLI downloaded a debug version for iOS simulator with this hash locally to our caching folder, and there was no need to go to the network to download it again. So we're reusing that. We found some devices and simulators. We launched a particular simulator here for iOS. We installed the app, launched, and call it a day. And that's a success. So that's that. We tried it to be very informative and as clean in terms of messaging as possible. So we want to inform you what's happening, but we don't want to over clutter you with information. And I want to also give a small call out to this section. It's a fingerprint for remote cache, and it's a part of our system that allows us to pair the local environment, the one we have remotely, on our remote cache, such as GitHub or Artifactory. So let's see if we can do a small demo of that. So I'll change the screen sharing.
I think it did here.
Yeah.
This is much better.
Okay.
We're not super close to the audience.
Yeah. Great. So I will need to share everything.
Except I will be the host now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to change everything. So
Okay.
you ready?
Is it fine?
Let's see. Yes. And see that.
Yeah. So what you can see here is that we have two terminal windows. One is running Metro server. The other is just a terminal window. And you can see that we also have some open apps here in the simulators. I'm gonna remove them because why not? Yeah, I'll keep that. So to show you how this works in practice, here we have the rnf start command, which is working exactly the same as the start command that you're used to. And we can run npx rnf run Android, for example, which will do the same that you've seen on a screenshot. So what happened here is that in 3 seconds we retrieved the whole application from our local system and install it on a device. So let me remove the remote cache that we have and see what happens if we have a clean environment. We don't have any app built, and let's just see what's happening. So the CLI tells us that there is no local build cache, so we're checking GitHub, which is configured as a remote provider. It tells us that it download the cache into our cache built into our cache folder, and it found some emulators, launched the app. You've seen how it launched the app, and we can do the same for iOS. So I don't have it installed locally. We're seeing that download progress from GitHub. It's actually pretty quick this time. It's not
Doing this live,
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So imagine you're one of the developers on your team and you're opening a branch that someone else built and they have the build ready. What you can do instead of building locally, you can see like this CLI haven't run Xcode build, no Gradle build system, nothing. It just downloaded stuff from internet and pushed this to the device. And of course, this is a maybe not of course. In this particular scenario, we've downloaded the debug simulator and for iOS and debug Android versions for our applications. So if we made some changes to our code, it's still connected to the Metro server, so it's gonna show up live. Yeah. So I'll stop sharing and go back to the presentation. Share screen. Yeah. So this is the new CLI covered very briefly. You can of course run your builds locally. So if there is no remote cache found for your particular fingerprint of your application, it's gonna automatically build locally for you, or you can configure it.
So question actually from Robbie, is there a mechanism to warn if the current running application doesn't match the fingerprint?
Yeah.
Or will it install automatically, or like you just said, I think build it? What's the scenario here? It doesn't match.
Yeah. So if it doesn't match, we will tell you that there's no build available, and we will tell you that we're falling back to a local build. And actually, I can show you how local, like very quickly, how local building works. So currently, because we have the native part is not changing. So let's pass this parameter, the flag no remote cache, and here you will be able to see what's happening when this is so when don't reach to the network. So we're basically installing CocoaPods for iOS and giving you some information on the progress. And we're also building the application. We're also telling you what's happening. And this is so let's kill that. For Android, it's pretty much similar. So we will tell you that we're building Gradle using a specific task, which you should be more or less familiar. And that's it. Then you can see Metro is refreshing because the things are changing, and it's probably not optimized to the native changes that are happening. So, yeah. So stop, present something else. Okay. So next thing about the CLI is that it has the concept of remote cache. We believe that the best build is no build, and what you experienced in this small demo was that we had a remote cache available on GitHub, and we just used it. So there was no need to build locally. And also, if we pushed some new changes that were JavaScript only, it would reuse that that build. So remote caching is all about smart reuse of native built artifacts. It comes with out-of-the-box support for GitHub Actions, and you can write your own adapters for storing the cache. For example, on S3 or so-called CI that we are working on. So it should be available soon. Conceptually, it works like this. Very briefly, CLI calculates the checksum or the fingerprint. Then we run through the run Android and run iOS commands. Then we're checking whether there is a build cache. If there is, we reach the remote cache and retrieve the one that's matching our local project. If not, let's build a new project on the CI and cache the APK for Android or cache the IPA for iOS. So it's more or less that simple, or not really that much complicated. On the CI, you will see it like this. So in our test repository, we have build release, which is running a release build of application, and build debug, which is running the debug version of our application. And you can notice that they take 35 seconds or 33 seconds. So there's no way that our app would build this fast on CI unless we're skipping the build. And this is exactly what we're doing here. Which, like, anytime I'm using that, I'm baffled, and I smile because it's so nice to avoid the work that's not really necessary.
You know what? One idea just came up to me based on the question in the chat, which I was trying to understand as you were going through the cache. You choose how about multiple modules, and is the cache does the caching with pre-build or pre-builds those modules and then dynamically load them? And so right now, my understanding is that the remote cache is for the whole application. So you build it once,
Yeah.
you build the whole application once, and then there is one artifact in the cloud. And this gave me a very interesting idea that I just wrote to March, which is it is a topic for next webinar. But just as a quick highlight, we are working on bringing Node API support to React, which means with Node API, thanks to its stable API, you can compile each module separately from the app. So if React Native has Node API support, which we'll have next week, you will be able to get not only Node modules or modules from the browsers, but also start building your Turbo modules against that Node API. And you know what I'm saying? If we can develop them separately, imagine the remote cache feature doing a separate cache for each module. So not only you don't have to recompile the whole app every time you change a line, you can just swap the individual module caches, and that will be even faster instead you are mind the theme.
Yeah. So this would be what we're
How cool. And
so just to give you a bit of a perspective what we're doing here. the cache mechanism here is all or nothing. We're building the whole app or not. And to determine that, we're calculating the fingerprint using Expo fingerprint package, which is great, which we configure for our use cases. So the fingerprint is based on what you have in package.json, what native dependencies you have, and what you have in your native build folders. And also you can extend it with some extra configuration. What Mike is referring to is whenever there is a need to build your application, it would be nice if we could do it faster. So with pre-built modules that are Node APIs compatible, that you can just use, like import as ready-to-use binaries and just link, we could speed up the build step. And this is also what the core team is working for on iOS. I believe that they're trying to optimize the build so they're faster. So just to recap, we're skipping the whole builds, but when the builds are happening, whatever is making them faster is working in our or your advantage. So whenever you spend time on CI, you can spend less of it. Yeah, so this is more or less about it. So let's go to the remote cache. As answering one of those questions, we have a interface that you can implement. Currently, it looks like this. It will likely change a bit, so you don't need to. So it doesn't have the notion of repo, because right now we're operating on repositories. We will want to shift the naming to something else, but conceptually, what's important here is that we have a method to detect the details where you pass, for example, your GitHub token. We have a method to query for a specific artifact name and check if it's there. And if it's there, download it from our remote cache provider. And we have in our repository currently we have a module that implements this interface, and you'll be able to implement your own with your own cache provider if you'd like to use it. So this is what we mean by modularity, and that you can swap some parts of the application. If we haven't provided something that's actually important to you, you can build that yourself. Hopefully, we'll make a good work documenting that. So you won't hate us, or we'll provide some good helpers for LLMs that could help you build that on the go. Another key area that we want to focus as a framework is Brownfield. So this may not be your typical scenario. If you already use React Native, it's a greenfield application, you started from scratch, this may be not that relevant to you. But imagine there are companies that want to improve their tech stack, want to adopt React Native. They have very different struggles with their native applications today. For example, it's easier to find React Native devs than native developers these days for iOS or Android. And many companies are making strategic decisions to move to a cross-platform framework. And React Native is, 10-year-old. It's already quite mature and like old enough and battle tested enough to adopt for some late adopters. And when those late adopters confront the official documentation or some articles on how to do it, they're like almost thrown into a bus. It's not the easiest experience out there to include React Native to existing complex applications. So we want to do as a framework, we want you to be able to adopt React Native through our framework in 4 simple steps. First is installing the Brownfield plugin that will provide for you for a given platform. Second is configuring a XC framework or AAR targets in your React Native application. If you just start a React Native application, you can add that in your config. We'll show you briefly how to do it conceptually. Third step is running a new. Once you install the Brownfield plugin, it will provide you and register a new package iOS or package Android command, which will allow you to, which will basically create those XC frameworks or AR files, so you can later consume those framework artifacts in your native. So it works more or less like this. You install the plugin Brownfield iOS in this example, and you configure it as a plugin in a RNF config JS, that's our config file. Then you add a new target to your pod file, to your React Native application, new one or existing one. Then you run the RNF package iOS command with specific scheme for your new framework target and in release mode. And then in your app delegate, you'll need to register a window so that React Native screen can attach to something. And last step is actually starting your view controller that will load the React Native view from that framework that you just imported like this. So this is something that's not officially documented yet. It's like, let's say, our tribal knowledge at Callstack on how to do it properly. We just presented you with the key steps, so you should be able to reverse engineer that. But we don't want you to do it because we want you to have an easy way of performing all of those steps. That's why we're working on open sourcing that in the form of our framework. And the last key step of what we're focusing on that we see is underrepresented in the frameworks that are already available is support for out of 3 platforms. Conceptually, all platforms are treated equally in our framework and are declared explicitly through platform plugins. The platform plugin provide commands such as build iOS or run Android, and they also provide templates so we can spin out new project. So you can collocate your platform logic in one package. If you're creating a new platform for, I don't know, Windows or something else that you're doing, we have a whole interface for you to implement that you can use as a reference and have everything in one place. And iOS and Android ship by default, and we'll be targeting more platforms such as Vision OS or various TVs pretty soon. So this is how it looks like currently. If you want to have iOS and Android platforms supported in our framework, you explicitly define platforms key and iOS with iOS and Android. And if you want to add a custom platform, you define your platform custom helper, a function that's exposed from your package that's either proprietary or open, and this will allow our CLI to see some extra commands, for example, and extra templates that that you prepared for users of that platform. And the last bit, I want to show you in in full, almost full. There are some other keys. Is our modular configuration. So we made sure to give you an option of using a bundler to package your JavaScript. So currently you can pick Metro or Repack, but you can actually use anything else if you provided the implementation. We allow you to provide your custom plugins, such as one you've seen for Brownfield on iOS. We let you specify your platforms and remote cache provider, which is either a string for some out-of-the-box solutions that we support, such as GitHub Actions, or a remote cache plugin that you can use in your project. So something that we wanted to share with you is that we actually have a documentation for that project. It's very new. You can open it with that QR code, or go to rnef.versal.app. It's a temporary place, but you can get the basic idea of what we just shared and how you can adopt the framework in your organization. And another thing is that you are all able to play with this framework today, because all the packages that we're using, those RNEF packages at RNEF organization, and it's actually available or on NPM, because we've done a soft release, so it's so you have easier time using this in your projects. And we didn't want to, we still don't want to talk very openly about it, because we wanted to first provide you with some documentation, so you can have easier time trying it without our help. So from today, you are actually able to use this in your project, and hopefully this will be something fun for you. And we expect some feedback, but we don't expect you to like overuse this. It's still not open source in terms of it's not on GitHub. We haven't open sourced the source code just yet. We want to leave that for later occasion, and when we feel this is closer to stability.
Yes. And so maybe a couple more questions I see here. Is it possible to mix bundlers, Metro on Native, and web on the web? So first of all, and this is something, Robin, that if you want, you can, email me, or, can email you, I guess, but just for my email is mike@callstack.com. Happy to talk to you about how we use Webpack on the native side as well, because you can use it, and that is a lot of value in reusing your sort of config. However, if that's not the case, Mike, how is the sort of that mix scenario going to treat it in RMF? Is that more like an edge case, or are you planning to make it a first class?
So currently it's an edge case. We want you to use a single bundler for your React Native applications. It happens that some React Native applications have web counterparts, or share some code, but they rarely share the configuration. So currently we designed our configuration to be focused on mobile, on desktops, on the React Native part, and we kept the web part for you to implement yourself. So because the build iOS, build Android commands are like, I mean, you won't use those on the web. So currently we didn't make web a first class citizen, such as Expo did, for example, because what we see is that any enterprise company that we work with, they already have a web team. They usually separate from the React Native apps. So currently, this was not the design goal for us to pursue. But in the future, we'll definitely want to have a good story for the web, and maybe we will pair with some web framework to have a good cooperation or good experience around this framework and our framework and using our framework for the native stuff. But short answer is that with this framework, you don't mix the bubblers. You use the one.
Cool. And we can wrap it out with the last question, which is there any requirement on the React Native version? I guess this is the React Native implicitly in this question required to run RNet, or what's the situation?
Yeah, so you can. I think as far as we've tested, the last version or the lowest version was 71 or 73. Technically, there shouldn't be a limitation, but there can be some APIs that or some tools that are that we use from, for example, latest version of or latest -1 version of Xcode that could be incompatible with React Native. I don't know, 65 or 67, which is probably 2 or 3 years old. The customers that we work with are often on some older versions. They have longer periods of upgrading their applications. So yeah, we wanted to make sure that we work with as many versions of React Native as possible. Definitely last 3 versions, but currently we work with 79. It's in RC, and we tried that with at least 73. So we work with last 6 versions, and on the design level, if we take the templates of the table, you should be able to use the same version of the CLI with any other version of React Native. Cool. Yeah, so we also have some small announcements for you to share, and we can then go to the final Q&A. Let wrap it up.
I've said all the questions as we go, which is great.
Yeah,
but yes, let move.
We also have it off time, so let us wrap this up quickly. In almost a month, we are together with Expensify. We organized a meetup in San Francisco. So the date is April 24th. If you're somewhere in Bay Area and would like to listen about enterprise framework, how it's adopted by companies such as Expensify, which is an early adopter and a company that we decided to soft launch for, because they're very, very much on the open source wagon as we are. And we also there will be talks from the Expensify team as well, and we also share some performance tips probably with you. So if you're in San Francisco Bay Area, come by. It's a free event. You can sign up with this QR code. And if you are closer to Europe and would like to join one of the best conferences out there. And I mean, I've been to a few. Of course, I'm super biased, but React Universe Conf, yeah, it's a pretty decent conference. We enjoyed it, making it, inviting speakers that are higher and higher in quality.
And this year we are going actually to have a special special series of talks from the Bike Density on links. And we just announced Hugs Pro, which is, colleague I know from early days. In fact, the first guest on React Universe podcast. So it sounds like we're really up to. Yeah, I was surprised myself when I was inviting him to play podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, he was there already." I'm like, "Wow, I don't remember." He's like, "Oh yeah, this was the first one." No,
Like he was probably talking about the compiler.
I refer.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, he is going to be there, so this will be pretty exciting. So you should join, and if you're from Europe, there is also a meetup on 16th in Warsaw. And if you are in Prague or you want to travel to Prague, Mike himself will be speaking about RNF next Tuesday.
Yeah, and then they want us. Yeah.
So that will be very nice. Cool. So what do we have up next?
Yeah. But thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for staying with us for the last hour and 14 minutes. If you are, if we can ask you one thing, apart from some more questions about what we're doing in the chat, please check this feedback survey and share the feedback with us. Let us know what we could improve. We want to make each and every next of those webinars or lives better and better. This time, we're on a team gathering in Barcelona, so the setup is not the usual. I would say in terms of audio, it's definitely lower quality, but we hope that
we were not muted this whole time.
Oh yeah. And if we did, let us know.
Exactly. So if you have any questions or things that you would like to follow up on, please email us at you can email me. I have a very simple email because I was the first emailer in the company, so it's just my name. So feel free to send me a message. We will also probably send you some follow up as they are thankful for you joining. And I think the most important thing is that we really want this framework to succeed. We want this project to grow, and we want companies to build even more with React Native. Right now, we are in this stage where me and Mike, we need your feedback, right? You need to tell us, these are the providers we need, these are the features we need, this is what we like, this is what we don't like. We will give that information, and we will just make a better project for everybody to use. So we love your feedback. Check out we have dots. Yeah, that's interesting. So check out the dots. I'll do it as well. So here are the dots. I'll show it in case we are showing this on YouTube, and thanks on YouTube and every other platform as well for watching. If you want to email me, this is the email. And if you're brave enough to type this yourself, this is the survey link.
Although we shared the QR code, you're able to scan it.
Exactly. So I guess that's it. And we slowly headed to Barcelona game. So I guess that's after we can relax now, and it was fun. Thanks for staying, and see you next time on another one.
Thank you, and see you around. Let us know. Post us any questions around frameworks and how they work, what we're working on. We're super excited about this project. We're working on it for a few months already. So yeah, it's about time to start shipping it for everybody, not only for early adopters.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye bye.